Hello and welcome everybody, I'm Tavern and we are here in Manor Lords, where we have just defended our honor and our land against the Baron. He came with twice the size of the army that he usually comes, and we still defeated him. Now, somebody pointed this out in the comments, and I know that this is a contentious issue in the community as well. How exactly does the Baron work? The general perception that I have also seen is actually that the Baron apparently hires whoever you have as mercenaries that you didn't hire. Now, that isn't true. I don't think that is true at all. I understand where that perception comes from, but we hired the Green Caps when he brought his reinforcements. There were many more than just these two archers there. Somebody else commented, and this seems the most likely to me, that if you are on challenging and you wait for half the time, so half the time of the battle countdown, then he will bring the same army that he already has again. Let me take a look at this. Can we see the... Shouldn't there be like a ton of dead people here? Apparently not. Apparently they are all already gone. Now anyway, we won. This has to be made clear. What we have right here was a completely successful battle, and I'm very, very positive, because as long as we have some money in the treasury, and as long as we keep building up the spear militia here, we will definitely keep winning going forward. I assume that he is going to challenge us maybe once per year or every 2 years or so, something like that anyway. I will defeat him every single time. I am rather confident. You can see we have the Gambazon economy already going as well. A couple of these units now have Gambazons, and before we do anything else, let me just start out here. The joiner definitely needs to start working again. I would also like to see some more... Yeah, there you go. I would like to see some more of these helmets, and then of course we can go ahead and have the blacksmith create more spears. So that means we will have an elite unit set of spear militia, and we're going to keep building those until we have the maximum of the spear militia units. I think we definitely have the economy to keep this going, and that means that we can keep growing as well here. And now that is of course the main topic here for me as well. We have already done so much. We have a Sorbian Weiler right here. We have another very tiny street settlement, and then of course we have the Hindorf right here. And look, I liked all of your ideas when it came to the names, don't get me wrong here, great stuff. But I googled and I found an example that is just so fitting. This right here is a Hindorf. It is full of life, and we have created it. We have, with our labor, pushed back the forest, making sure that along this trade route right here, we have an incredibly prosperous society already. And I mean, again, this is just the start. Now, I was very excited to take a look at the names, and ultimately I found one that exists today, and if I can put it up there right now, has one of the coolest sigils in the world. I really like this one. It shows the history. You can of course see the sigil of Silesia there that was given to them by the Piasts, and you can see the sigil of the Bohemians, of course, and then in the center is their starting letter. This is the sigil of Sitow. Sitow is in the corner area, so right at the corner where Germany, Poland and the Czech Republic all come together, and I really like that one because historically speaking that one was a Hindorf that grew in an area that already had a Sorbian Weiler, and then of course some other settlements as well, mostly a monastery. Obviously we can't build those, but you can, you know, basically take the rest in and just headcanon that. The idea here is that this village and this region will be named Sitow, and long term, so this is the canon of this playthrough, this region will ultimately grow together. They will all become one city that will be rather thriving, at least in the medieval and starting modern period right there. Now, Sitow is a city that exists there today. Like I said, it started as a Waldhufendorf, and the name is of Sorbian origin. It comes from Sitow, which, if I pronounced this correctly, which I hopefully did there, is essentially a term that means, you know, rye, that means emmer, that means everything related to wheat, and well, look at us. That is exactly what this area is. We have created a massive agricultural hub, and we are only at the start. I really like this idea, so we're going to rename it, and I'm going to rename it into one of the older forms of Sitow. So initially this was called Sitte, and I believe, if I see the Wikipedia article there correctly, that this is also what the local German dialect still calls that town even today. So that is what we have right here. This is essentially our breadbasket, now in all ways, even in the name. Alright, but we do have to do now a couple of things. We are looking at a great location that is now building its own spears, its own shields, its own gambazons, and indeed its own helmets as well. Although for the helmets, well, we are importing the iron slabs. You can see we are still selling more than we are buying, but in general, I think we are for sure looking at a situation here where these iron slabs are something that ultimately I would like to produce on my own. In this region right here, I think Zweier will be a perfect location. We'll just need some more money and, well, some more time. Alright, but now that we have this beautiful location, that we have this beautiful area as it is, we of course need to kind of finish it. Just the finishing touches. After that, we're going to be moving on right here. Definitely going to do this episode. But anyway, the point is, we need to make sure that we can actually maintain all the fields. I see your comments, by the way. Don't worry about it. Don't sweat about it too much. Oh no, we didn't get all of the field. Don't worry about it, okay? We have enough. We get enough barley, enough flax, enough wheat. We are producing all these things now and can use them even if not all of the field indeed is getting harvested. I wouldn't be too worried about that. I set this up correctly now. Somebody pointed out correctly that one of these, I think it was like this one or something, didn't have crop rotation on. I've changed that now. That is done. This village also has most of the inhabitants in. You can see I can still do the backyard improvements. I'm going to do that bit by bit as we go. What I mostly care for right now is that we fill all of these farmsteads. You can see right here, 8 out of 8, 7 out of 8, and 8 out of 8. Now to do this, we are going to go ahead and actually have this road. We pushed this in here a while ago for this hitching post, and I really want to upgrade this one as well. But essentially what we have right here is a road that I will lead into this direction roughly like this. There you go. These kind of very, very basic, so there's no road network that we're creating here. This doesn't go into any more complexity. These kind of basic backyard roads are something that most certainly was done for the Waldhufendorf, much like it was done for the Straßendorf. Very emblematic that you have these kind of very simplistic shoot-offs here, rather than any complex street network. It is straight up just this, and it directly just connects to the main road, and that is it. Now in this case, obviously it makes a lot of sense. You have these food stalls here. I might put slightly, you know, further pushed back market space all the way over here. You can see right here we can't really put many buildings over there. But yeah, we're gonna have buildings on this side and on this side, probably buildings that won't actually have any fields assigned to them, much like we had it here, which means these are surely the poorer population. They come later. The initial settlement period is already over. These maybe are just working on the fields. They don't have that great a future, but hey, don't worry about it. They're doing their best. Now, the other thing that I also want to do is I want to do something that we didn't get to do with the other Rundling in our first playthrough. Rundlinge, like I said, were pretty bad in their design when it comes to their expansion. You can't really go anywhere else. This is it. I mean, this is the full thing. The central plaza is already fully surrounded. However, in cases where there was some expansion, they would essentially do this expansion along the entry and exit points, so alongside these fields. And we can do this here. I'm very happy to say. We just gotta change these fields very slightly, and since they're currently fallow, we can even do that. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna make these fields smaller and put just one house maybe on each side here, and then 2 or 3 houses right here. That is everything we're going to do here, and I think that is also going to be the maximum expansion of our settlement right here, at least for the time being. I just gotta remember, this is flax in the second year. When I redraw those, that is what we're going for. So let's take a look at... Oh, I'm an idiot, or maybe I'm not. Wait a minute, we have enough timber. I need to actually wait before we get more timber. I need to stop just placing stuff. Yeah, you know what, let's do it like this. I think that should be fine. I'm going to make it a bit bigger. There you go. And then over here, we could have, like, the exact same length. I just don't... You know what? Let's just do it like this. This will just be one pretty big area. I think that is completely permissible. There's just a very wealthy landowner coming by and maybe buying a bit of the bigger variant there. And all of a sudden, we have these significantly smaller... Let me place it correctly there. These significantly smaller fields, they will be fine. They have roughly, I think, the same... Yeah, there you go, the same attraction for flax. We can place them, and everybody will have a great time. And of course, and yeah, there you go. This is exactly how these Rundweiler, these Rundlinge would expand. They would go along the road, and ultimately, once that road is also filled, this would be called a Sackgassendorf. So this would essentially be a cul-de-sac village, which just means there's no further way to expand, unless we start tearing down these buildings, which we're not going to do. I mean, we just put them down. I'm going to do the same thing here, just on this side. We'll definitely limit this field a little bit more, but I think you get the drift. Now, to continue our expansion here, we will have to have a lot of buildings up there as well. We, of course, need a bit more work here in the logging industry. I'm going to fill these jobs up, and now I'm looking at this, right? The forester here will definitely not be enough to actually keep this forest, well, forested. And I do also need an employee in the saw pit. I think I just need to fast forward a couple of months, entirely because that will lead to us actually having enough workers. But I would also like another forester's hut. We just need more timber for it. Okay, fair enough. We need more workers. We need more employees. So That means we have to let the game run for a bit. I think in general, we are set up really, really nicely. We have so much wheat. We have so much in leather, in linen, in malt. Everything is really coming together here. Oh, you know what? This is actually the last thing. I almost forgot about this. I need an additional family. Maybe you. I need you once I have the planks. I need you to become a brewer. Because otherwise, I will never be able to actually get this tavern to run. You can see it's right here, but nobody's employed because we only go to the step of producing the malt right now. And only after that will we actually start creating the ale. We might get like 2 brewer families here. I know the brewery and, well, alcohol in general, ale, is very difficult to balance right now in the game's version. Much like, and I really want to point this out as well, some people were like, hey, wait a minute, you're not really fighting this in a medieval way. Where are the archers? Why are you running so much? It's like, honestly, everything related to warfare right now, I think, is the furthest from history than, you know, compared to every other element of this game. So I don't think really you can play into that. But as things are, I would at least like to have a pretty steady supply of ale. Ale seems to be unbalanced, as far as I understand it, but I think we can get that going if I just go ahead and actually basically have a bit of a backlog where we have a ton of malt and then a ton of ale, and only then do I open the tavern. That's my dream anyway. I hope that we can make that work in that fashion. Yeah, look at that. Stocks damaged by weather. Listen, don't worry about it, okay? We'll be fine. We may have to look into an additional large granary as well, but we're gonna do that in due time only. Yeah, it's gonna be fine, okay? Don't you worry about it. And I might even, in hindsight, move this well a little bit so that I can put another ox right here, right? Is nobody gonna get this timber? Oh, there you go. Thank you so much. Okay, we're gonna place you right there, and then, if possible... Oh, it's not possible. I might be able to do it if I get rid of the street and then draw the street. Okay, let me take a look at this, right? We can connect all of this. It's very, very simple. Boom. And maybe this works. That would be perfect. Ah, yeah. Oh, nope. The hell? Apparently it won't work, huh? Really? Oh, this was tough, but I did it. All right. We can fit all of them in here. Can I even do another shrine? Maybe? Okay, the shrine had to go. There was no way around it. I wish it weren't so, but... Alright, that means we have a well, and that means we have a hitching post here, making this a bit more central than it used to be, but yet quite isolated for sure. Alright, and we also now have a ton more timber, so I'm going to get rid of this. Let's remember, 2nd year barley. That is what we're looking at for this one. And then we're just going to place... Ooh, let's take a look. Maybe this long. Just a couple of buildings. I'm going to make them relatively small. There you go. That is perfect. And then directly adjacent, we're going to redraw this field. Works perfectly fine. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. This is, you know what, I'll take it. Whatever. I've seen better, I've seen worse, okay? 2nd year barley. That was what we had. And there you go. We have expanded this village now, making it so that they will have more workforce and most certainly enough workforce for both this, for everything going on here in the sheep farm, and hopefully right over here as well in the logging camp. That is what I would like to include there in general when it comes to, you know, where you're working, what are you doing. And now that I'm looking at this, I also actually want like a tiny, or actually I want the opposite of tiny. I want a big farmstead. I would like it, and I'm going to turn this actually. If we could just have a bit of a big farmstead right here to kind of interrupt the view, even if we get rid of these trees right over here, I think that makes it so that when you enter this location, long term, you're going to see the big city over there. And then right here, you have this kind of interruption of your viewing pleasure until this church tower comes up. So I'm going to build you like this. This is incredibly big. We're going to see how it comes out. I'll just draw this little path there. And that should set us up here for a good view. Yeah, and before we even put down the buildings right here, let's put down a secondary, well, a tertiary, I guess, technically, market square. This is still very much the city center, and I think long-term this would develop. We would get rid of these fields right here, and this would develop into the general, you know, core area of this city, if this ever were to become a city. Which means this market square right here makes a lot of sense. I might even keep this space open for another extension, but I'm not too committed to this. Right now, I just want another market square right there so that I can then have the houses in this direction and starting here in that direction as well. We are also making sure now that we are producing planks so that we can produce more and more spears. You can see it right here, the blacksmith is indeed quite busy. These are just one, this is just one family actually, so it's going to take them a bit longer than if we had 2 families right there. And now that we have 1 family unassigned, it should mean that these buildings here will actually finish and we can get a nice view of them. Man, this looks so beautiful. Yeah, look at that. This is paradise, if you like working in the fields. This is very, very pretty. Now, some of you also correctly pointed out that I should probably set this to like a really... I keep forgetting this. You can actually set these incrementally. So like, if you just type it, you can have it at 1%, 5%, whatever. I just keep clicking these buttons. And if you have it at 20, 30%, people will become incredibly unhappy. So let's hope that 5% works for us so that I can, you know, slowly but surely amass some money. We are doing completely fine, I think, when it comes to regional wealth. We are building up more wealth than we are spending with our trade. And I think that is a really big get for us. All right, now that most, if not all of these families have moved in over here, let me assign them, right? Because obviously I don't want you working too far away. You're going to be working right here. That's perfectly fine. I do this a lot, by the way. I assign people here manually quite a bit. I don't think it's too big of a hassle, although, of course, you know, to a degree it certainly is. But it does make it so that there's never really any really long paths. Yeah, look at this, for example. That is, I'm sorry, you can't work over there. That is way too far. That is unhinged what you're doing right there. I'm going to put both of you into this mill, making it so that you have very short pathways and making it so that somebody else can work in those locations. We have to find somebody to actually do that work, obviously, but we're going to do that in due time. I'm just going to make sure that everybody here is working, but I think we're looking good now. This village in particular, of course, has a lot more expansion possibilities, different from the Rundweiler, just because it is along this road. These roads and these villages could stretch on for kilometers, so planting more houses just along this road is not at all an issue, although, of course, for the time being, having these barley fields here is a great possibility for us. We don't really want to get rid of this, the same way that we got rid of the fields right here. Although, yeah, look at that. This is definitely... This keeps the character going. We might even put one more house on this side here as well, we'll see. But for the time being, I think things are going well. Now, let me just place a couple of buildings right here. Going to run this down like this. Yeah, that seems perfectly fine to me. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. I'm going to leave this square open. Maybe just for the time being, I'm just going to leave it as it is. I don't think we need to mess with it for no reason. If we put a market there, then we put a market there. Not sure whether we will, but hey, it's a nice opportunity to long to midterm kind of expand what we already have here. Now let's take a look at the approval here, right? Taxation -4, obviously it stacks in the previous months. I wonder how far this goes. I'm not sure how exactly the previous works. I know it kind of lingers, so if you have a negative modifier, that will linger. But I'm not sure how much it can linger. Like, does it only remember like the last 3 months, the last 6 months? What exactly is it there? I'm not sure, so I can't really explore that. We are now finishing more burgage plots. The well has been constructed. Once we have the hitching post right here, we're going to upgrade it as well. And then obviously hire more of the oxen. We do have some free stable space right there. And I think that preps us for the future quite well, I think. Ultimately making it so, of course, that expansion in this area will be easier since we have oxen very much nearby. Oh, you know what we're actually going to use this space for? I'm going to put another communal oven right here. We only have one right now, and I don't think we're going to get the bakery expansion. So having another communal oven here, and I'm going to unsnap this. Having another oven right here would be perfect, I think. If we put it like this, it would be completely aligned to the market. I think that's fine, yeah, look at that. Making it so that we are producing our own food now here completely. We have so much flour lying around. You can see right here, the communal oven definitely struggles to keep up, despite, if I'm not mistaken... Oh, wait a minute, there's no flour in there? Where is all the flour? Is it just in the windmills? Oh, it totally is. Wow. Maybe I need some more storehouse workers. And maybe I even need an additional storehouse. You know what? That might actually be what we're lacking here. There's a lot being stored now. There's a lot going on. And I think this storehouse, specializing, for example, in flour, would be perfect also. Like I said, this would maybe ultimately become the proper village center here if we expand it in this direction. So having storehouses, having communal oven and such makes perfect sense right here. Yeah, and look at these little fellas going. All of the family members have just brought in some iron slabs. We just bought them off the global market, where the supply is actually now pretty bad. The prices have gone up. But I think we can maintain it. Look at them working. They are what will keep the city safe. We are actually in a pretty good spot. It was something that definitely took some time to figure out. In the context for me, right, if you play on normal, you basically will never really get attacked by the guy until considerably later, at least in the preview version. Forgive me here, I think they've over-buffed him in this version. But anyway, my point being, of course, that as things are, it took some finding out, hey, how do you build your army, what is enough, what is not enough, and I think, you know, these regiments of spear militia will completely trash them if they have gambazons, if they have helmets, and so on. Now with the gambazons, I can see that we have overproduced 22, and nobody has gotten those assigned. Are gambazons something that you can only wear if you... Wait a minute, are they one of those things that you can only wear if you're one of the level 2 or higher houses? Let me find out about this, right? The tailor's shop. What does it say about gambazons? Nothing. It doesn't... I need a description of gambazons here, okay? Yeah, I don't think there's ever any explanation of gambazons. I know that there's an explanation right here. You need level 3 for male. I'm not sure when gambazons actually give you the benefits. So, is it only level 2 houses? I might just upgrade all of these anyway. Currently, they're lacking clothing, and they are also lacking beer, both of which we can, of course, take care of. And speaking of which, I almost forgot about you. Wait a minute. You, my friend, stop having chicken. You are now a brewery. But we may actually be telling our tailor here to stop producing gambazons soon enough. We are looking at a situation where it is very easy for us to produce dyes here, right? We have so many berries. We have so many berries here in storage. That shouldn't be too big of an issue if we at least produce some of this. Now, of course, it is easier to actually produce shoes, just because leather is relatively easy to come by. But this should now mean that these folks actually start with their work. Yep, they're transporting it, and it's all nearby. Malt is being stored right here. Let me take a look at you, right? Last time when I was looking at this in the preview version, I want to say the brewery was the same thing as the smith. Maybe that has been changed now. Oh no, okay, wait a minute. It was the same as the bakery, yeah? Look at them stirring the bakery pot. This is, of course, you know, it's early access. The current asset there just isn't the one that this will get ultimately. Man, this is a nice looking village. So that means that they're currently stirring the bakery setup. Doesn't matter, don't worry about it too much, okay? They're doing their job, they're producing ale, and soon enough, I can make even our level 2 houses happy. Alright, and I have now finally also opened up the tavern. You can see it right here, they're rolling in the kegs. The very first time that we actually got that going. I have a pretty good supply of ale, it's like 100 units. It's a bit of an experiment from my side. I want to see how exactly this behaves. Will they just empty out instantly, or will we maybe finally see a functioning tavern? Anyway, this is of course now the emergence of this village as a trade hub. The wealth, the prosperity, and of course the, well, just productivity can be felt. I assume they're going to get more ale. That's at least my guess. Let's take a look at how this exactly works out. I hope to see a whole bunch of town folks right here in front of the tavern. I mean, it's terrible weather, but come on, you gotta drink, right? And while we are at this, I at least want to try it. Last time we didn't really go into this direction at all, and you know what, now that I look at this, I guess you really need the forest management here, right? So that you can get the double berry deposits. That is quite massive. I'm going to put this down anyway here because we have a bit of a surplus right now. I want to see how they behave, whether it is relatively easy for them, together with that ink, to... Where are they? To actually create exactly what we need here. There it is, the clothes, so that we can satisfy that demand. We'll see how it goes. You can see that we are okay on the linen anyway, and okay on the leather as well, which just for me means that I'm also going to go ahead and assign to one of them. I'm not sure to which one. You know what? Let's actually pick this one right here. I know they currently have a backyard. Don't worry about it too much. You are going to create some shoes, so you're going to be the leather industry, hopefully making it so that my level 2 houses from here on out will just be perfectly happy. We are keeping up with ale as well. I think we're still slightly overproducing. We have so much malt lying around, it shouldn't really be an issue. If worst comes to worst, I can just create a secondary brewery, but I think as things are, we might be able to sustain our ale load. They always only have a few in storage, but that is better than nothing, right? We store our ale right over here, you can see it. So it is a very, very close by granary, making it so that this should be the ideal loop. I mean, we only have one family working in this. With 2 families, maybe we can just keep it going. Yeah, you can see this is now really eating into our approval level here. The lack of entertainment is just that significant, but it is going to go away. My main issue just is that I can't get any migrants with how things are. And that, of course, you know, really stops my migration expansion right here. Oh, and there you go. The cobbler is already producing shoes. I assume that they're going to open up their very own, there it is, their very own clothing stall. And that should mean that you will be really happy in just a bit. Oh, wait. Are you no longer looking for leather, like, at all? Are they only looking for shoes, clothes, and cloaks now? I thought that they would be looking for that plus leather and maybe just linen. Oh, level 2 is just actually more advanced on that entirely. That is so interesting. So that means when we build this dyer's workshop, that will be the only way that we actually get full approval of these people. Very, very interesting. Okay. See, I had mistaken this so far. I thought it was basically leather or linen for anybody. That can always be the first point. And only then do you need proper clothing. And apparently that's not the case. Apparently I need proper clothing as soon as they have level 2. And that is the only thing that they accept. Let me double check this. Yeah, look at that. Enough supply of any of the following materials. So level 2 fundamentally, it seems. Linen, wool, leather. This seems to be like an old... I'm so confused by these tooltips. Huh? Okay, anyway, I think those tooltips aren't exactly right. We're now in a position where with the dyer's workshop, I will be able to actually do this. I do need to keep track here of the berries. But once we have enough migrants, I can finally put more people working on the flour. You can see it right here. We have this communal oven, and it is not being used because I just don't have the population for it. We're gonna get there. Now, a fair warning, by the way, I think I am going to skip over any upcoming battles. I will record them, of course, and should they be close, then, well, I'll show it to you. But in general, whenever bandits pop up, I will probably just skip over this entirely because we are basically incredibly well equipped. We have so many gambazons, we'll have weaponry and helmets all left over. I think it's okay. Listen, the way this works is essentially we are now a truck. And we will hit everything in our way and send it into an isekai world. So don't worry about it too much, it should be pretty easy going forward. Oh, but look at that, it really does seem now as though we're using up the ale. We used to be at 100, we are now going steadily down. Our malt is actually holding. Maybe I just need 2 breweries? Because they are bringing it here quite aggressively, but I guess it's already all basically planned out. Somebody is going to take this. We're gonna see, okay? Right now, I'm not too confident in those numbers. We may very well need a second brewer. We could theoretically, by the way, upgrade these to level 3. I'm not gonna do it. It would unlock the perks, but I just don't want level 3 housing in this location here, so... yeah, let's not do it, okay? This is not going to be our big city. Alright, I let it run for quite some time just to, you know, get some more population. All these houses took some time to populate. It's not too concerning. You can see we're producing just fine. The ale and all that stuff is coming along, although maybe hides and leather are now slightly behind. We'll see about that as we go. I saw a bit of a weird pilgrimage, and I think we're seeing it again. These farmhouses, so there's 1 farmhouse here, 2 farmhouses there, 1 right here, and then all the way over there. They are limited to their respective areas. So this one has this. Then these 3 have this entire area together. I assigned that individually. And then this last one has this one. And I saw a really weird pilgrimage where people from here would go all the way over there instead of, like, plowing their own fields. I'm not sure what happened there. I don't think at this point that we're actually that far behind on, you know, hey, how many farmers do you have? Rather, something about their pathfinding and their behavior in general seems kind of odd. I can't quite pinpoint it. They are doing okay. I mean, they're just in their houses, I guess. They're done with their jobs. I saw some people hanging around down there. Why? What are you doing down here, pal? Oh, wait a minute. These might actually live there. Yeah, okay, this guy just lives there. All right, fair enough. I'll keep an eye on this. I think next harvesting season, we're just going to spend an entire time taking a look at this. But anyway, you can see we now have massive approval because of how well things have been running. We're looking at almost 100 people in our settlement, and as they come in, I essentially assign them to the farmhouses or to whatever else is needed. And let's take a look at this right now, right? We're generating flour. It's not going to be too much, but take a look at all the bread that we have here. Like, we are definitely producing quite a lot, although I think the imbalances are only going to show a bit later. I'm not going to assign you to the communal oven. You know what? You can stay a worker. That's completely fine. I think what I will be doing is we're going to start setting up the village right here. Let's take a look at that. We've been talking about it, and I am so excited to now finally do it. We're going to have a village alongside this river, but it's kind of going to be 2 subsections because I want to show off one case of it and then build the other one in a different style. So, what we're going to do right here, so this is directly adjacent to the Rundweiler, we're going to build a so-called Hagen-Hufendorf. The Hagen-Hufendorf is a very classic building style as well. It is incredibly beneficial. Like, once we build it, you're going to go, oh, that makes so much sense. Of course they would build it this way. We're going to place it right here, and we're going to do it essentially along the entire river until roughly here. That is when we're going to have a light deviation. Now, Let me just check this. No, I don't really like this. We're not going to do this in just one section. We're going to do this in several sections. Never really want to go into the river. But I do want to be very, very close, because that is one of the huge benefits to this type of village. See, obviously, fresh water plays a huge role, not just for us as people, but also for every animal, for every type of planting activity that we may have, you know, be it on the field, be it just in our backyards, all that kind of stuff. It is incredibly important that we have access to fresh water. And this right here, I mean, this is exactly it. This is perfect, by the way. We have a bit of a crossing right here, which looks very odd if you look at it this way, but don't worry about it, okay? This crossing right here will be utilized. It will indeed be what leads then into Waldbrand and so on, which means this area right here is completely just adjacent to the river. There are no crossings behind it, whereas I think there's another crossing like somewhere over here. We're going to find it eventually. Yeah, maybe it's this one. I'm not too sure. Anyway, we're going to build these houses, these new farmsteads right here. Obviously, it's going to take its sweet time, but in general, I think this should be unproblematic. Now, in game terms, us having water behind the house means nothing. I do need to put down a well. We can just put it right there. I think that's completely okay. Everything else, I don't really want to put down just yet. And you know what? I gotta kick this guy out of the saw pit. I think he's done enough labor, at least for the time being. We don't really need more shields as things are. Look at that. We have this full army. Ideally, by the way, I would really like it if I could dissolve this retinue, but I would have to get rid of the mana right here. If we did that, I could have one more spear militia and then get the retinues on top. That's okay. We don't need to min-max this. It is a bit of a weird system that is being employed there right now. That is a bit clunky, but I think we're figuring it out. We just gotta make sure that we have these spear militia at the ready. Right, and there you have them, the Hagen Hufendorf. Now, when we take a look at this, right, we've talked about different archetypes, and this one I think most certainly is a very, very common one, because this one is literally just along a road. You can see it right here. This is the beginning of any Straßendorf. You just place down these buildings along an important road. In this case, of course, it is a trade route, which is incredibly important. I mean, you like to settle along those, but the most important part of this type of village, much like, for example, in the Waldhufendorf all the way over there, we were effectively saying, okay, Waldhufendorf, we're creating these, and they are built the way they are, because it gives us A, a lot of wood to build our buildings with, and B, it makes it so that we have very fertile land after we have cleared the forest. In this case, we're building this village because of this beautiful... Why am I so... Oh no, actually... Well, yeah, I'm exactly where I need to be, huh? We are doing this because of this stream right here. This stream was the lifeblood of anything going on in this village. You will find this a lot even today, of course, in, you know, any more stream/river-heavy area. I think this is very similar in type in the way it was constructed to the Moorhufendorf, which the Moorhufendorf was, of course, more common in very different areas. I'm talking, for example, about the question of everything in the northwest of Germany. We're talking about the Netherlands. They were just clearing the land right there. They had to get rid of the swamp and all that kind of stuff. And this one is similar in its construction, but it mostly lives off of the river. Now, I talked a lot about how the forest makes it very easy to keep, for example, chicken, to keep, for example, swine. This one right here is in a similar position. It makes it very easy to keep them, because all you need to do is just, you know, bring the water in again and again from right the back of your house. This style of village is incredibly convenient for example, vegetable keeping, and I think that might be what we're doing here. I'm going to do a bit of a mix. Now, the other interesting thing about this style of village is that the fields would be directly across the street. So instead of building a second row of houses here, you would have the fields essentially in front of the houses, rather than, for example, like we have it all the way over here behind the houses. This is mirroring it, but it's not doing exactly the same. And I'm going to do, of course, now this exact preparation. We're going to place down a couple of fields. I'm not going to do them exactly so that, you know, they are in front of the houses. I want this to be a bit wilder here. And in fact, I'm going to draw some roads here. We already have a road right here. We used to hunt. We used to have our forest management. You know, we cut down the trees right here. We did that in this location. We're going to run a road just down like this. And if we could, see, I would like to run a road in right here, but I've completely built this shutter. Yeah, we can't even go through here. So that means it's impossible for me to actually connect it to the Rundling, which is fair enough. The Rundling is always very isolated. I would maybe, though, want a building right over here. Let me actually check. Another mill can't hurt, right? Going crazy on mills. Has it ever harmed anybody? I don't think so. I think what we're going to do is, I'm going to place the mill Ooh, look at that. That is a high percentage right here. We might place the mill right over there, or alternatively, we could place it somewhere in this area, 85%. That's not amazing. Let's place it like this. Okay. We obviously also need a farmhouse. Now, this farmhouse, I would like to be central, but I don't even think it's that important. If we put it right here, it will be in the center of the fields, and we can kind of build around it, which might be a bit more attractive. At least, I would kind of prefer that, I guess. I'm going to place the farmhouse. Oh, God. Look at... Look at the fundament there. It needs to be so tall. Okay, maybe that's not the best idea. How about right over here, then? We're going to place the farmhouse roughly here. Okay, fair enough. Then we're going to connect it in. There we go. And now we shall plan the fields around it. Like with all of the other farmhouses, these fields are very much all going to be attached to these houses, and I would roughly like to have as many as we have houses, although the shapes, you know, will differ. And my god. Okay, so we get some flax. Okay, some flax. Obviously, barley basically nowhere except maybe all the way up there. I don't even know whether I'm going to go all the way up there, but okay, fair enough. So mostly emmer is what we are going to be producing right here. Let's start with a field that is just straight up adjacent to the fields that we already have coming from the Rundling. This is going to be pretty big. Completely manageable, I think. Don't worry about it too much. Then here, we're going to have two fields. Relatively small, all things considered. Then I would like a field right here that kind of lies... Yeah, this is... I like that. And then over here, I would like a field that somewhat kind of fits into the road here. I think we got it. I think we got it. Yeah, okay, this looks nice. I'm going to actually keep it straight. Makes it easier to plow as well. No worries. And then over here, as we have, of course, the windmill, we need to connect it in. And I would like to actually go around the entire windmill with a road, just to make this a bit better connected. And of course, canonically speaking, if we want to phrase it that way, this windmill can turn, which means having a round way around it should be quite beneficial. It should also make it so that I can place... I don't know about a field up there. Honestly, we did clear this entire area, and this is the only location where flax and... where actually barley here is very attractive. You know what? We can have, I think, a small-ish... a smallish field right there. That should be fine. I don't love this. You know what, let me redraw this. Let's do it like this. This looks perfectly okay to me, yeah. Then right here, we're going to have slightly different field shapes. We're going to go ahead and actually make these very thin, or relatively thin anyway, and place them immediately next to each other. Are you too big? What are you? Yeah, you're quite big, aren't you? I think this is exactly how we want it. I think this will work perfectly fine. Maybe this mill is overkill. I might not employ anybody initially in it. But take a look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, okay, these are definitely enough for all these houses. So we can make it so that, you know, we can essentially just infer that some of these fields are only owned by some of these houses. But this right here is exactly how they would do it. These are really long fields right across the house. And of course, inside of the house, you would have stuff like vegetables, for example. I'm actually going to go ahead and indeed make most of these vegetable fields. And then they work the fields directly across, and in this case, it will probably be mostly wheat, which isn't too bad, since we are, of course, going to be expanding our population base significantly going forward here. So having some veggies, having a lot of wheat coming out of these right here should be pretty beneficial. And then over here in the end, I think we're going to go with the chicken coops. Now, we are going to work these pretty sparingly, as we've done it now the whole time. Essentially just 3 fields per year, something like this anyway. We're going to keep it pretty basic, and even if they don't work it initially, or even if it takes a bit longer until they get to work here, I think that is completely acceptable. Let's start with just like all wheat, and then maybe if I find anything, I mean the wheat here is just too promising, right? We're going to produce a lot of wheat, okay? What are you going to do? Alright, you can see that I limited it actually. I got rid of a bunch of fields over here. I didn't want it to go that far, and I made these fields much more narrow, so that they fit the character of this village quite a bit more. Yeah, take a look at this. This is now what we have right here. Slowly but surely, people are going to be moving in, and then I can equip them in farmhouses. I've also built another farmhouse all the way over here. Like I said, these are going to be incredibly agricultural communities. And on top of that, we have been invaded by our dear friend, the Baron. Let's take this guy out. I do think I'm going to show this fight just because, well, should be fun, right? We should completely demolish them effectively. And we'll see where we go from there. And there you go, the battle begins, and as we are used to it, of course, our dear mercenaries here are the ones that will have to take the brunt of the losses. I will never regret this. What's your problem? I can... Okay. Just for the record, he's attacking me. Is he gonna take this over if I sign this? I'm just gonna say no. I'm just gonna destroy them. Screw it. Even if I don't get any money out of it, let's just completely annihilate them, eh? I wonder what those 3 arrows are. I can't quite tell. Does it mean engaged in melee? Yeah, I honestly have no idea. I don't actually know what that means, but I don't think I need to know. As we are now going to attack them here in full force. And I think I'm even going to let them attack my archers from behind. Because then I can just go around and completely annihilate them. Yeah, take a look at that. I think we're doing very, very well here. My retinue not even in action. It is just not that much of a challenge. Take a look at that. From our units, we've lost absolutely nobody. They do still have these, but I mean, come on. What is this? What the hell are they doing? What is this? What is this? Where are they going? Alright. They just fled the battlefield, huh? The most disappointing thing here for me for sure is that we don't get anything out of it. I don't know why I'm fighting these battles. There's no benefit in this for me at all. Alright, anyway, harvesting season has begun. And you can see right here where the center of the yellow stuff is, that is exactly where my workers need to be close to. So right here we have 3 different farmhouses plus 1, so that makes 4 for just these fields. Then we have 1 for these fields, 1 that isn't fully staffed yet, so they're not gonna get it done, don't worry about it. For these fields right here, and then 1 for this field. Why are these folks going all the way up there? What are you doing? Are they actually helping with the harvest right here? It really seems that way, doesn't it? Yeah, that's what they're doing. Wait, why do you go all the way up there? Don't I... Oh god, which farmhouse is which farmhouse? Okay, it's not you. Ah, this is kind of cumbersome, but I think these might be misassigned, so I didn't actually give them the right radius. Come on. It was actually the last one. I'm gonna lose my mind. If I give you another radius here, right? Shouldn't this should make it so that you only work your fields. Where are you going, pal? Why are you working the fields up there? Yeah, I don't know. There seems to be some issue. Hey, and with this farmhouse as well. Is it because you're already completely done? Enemy unit spotted. Alright, you know what? Let's kill raiders. I'm gonna kill these raiders in the next video, okay? We're doing okay. Don't sweat it. I'm just a bit confused about where people are going here to do the farming. Anyway, we have built this Haufen right here. Very, very beneficial spot for vegetable farming and such. You can see we have plenty of food. We're doing incredibly well. The topic is now to start our actual city in this valley. This is a perfect spot for a city. And that is exactly what we are going to do. Folks, I'll leave it right here. And I'll see you later. Alligator.